Yeah, hello guys. Yeah, welcome to my platform, Timo Starboy Reality Talk TV. Yeah, happy new month. Happy first day of May. Yeah, so I hope everything will be all right with you over there. So let's enjoy ourselves. So don't let us push too much pressure. So I greet you at your location time. Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And for those people who have already sleeping, good night. Yeah, this is Timo Starboy Reality Talk TV. We are streaming on our two page. Yeah, that is YouTube and Facebook. Please enjoy our program today. So as you can see the title, President Muhammadu Buhari and Inec want to destroy the democracy in Nigeria. Yeah, that's the fact. That's the fact. With the video, we will show you, you know what we are talking about. So I'm glad that we make it through May. So new month, it shall be well with us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. So this is Timo Starboy Reality Talk TV. So you see what we are talking about. What we are talking about destroying the democracy in Nigeria, as the president is backing up the atrocity on the ground, what the criminality activities they are doing to the election, to the selection, whatever they call it. So it seems that they just want to do their own way. They want to force us on the ground that we should accept a criminal in the country. So everybody should be a criminal. That is what it means. So that is not a democracy we want. That is not a freedom we want. Because a president cannot implement his own law. We have a law in the country. We have a law. And moreover, this 99 constitution, we know is a fraud because it favors the leader alone. It favors our president, our governor, our these so-called politicians and elite. It doesn't favor the citizen. It doesn't favor anybody that is the low, only the high person. So this is so crazy. It's so crazy and it's meaningless. This is so ridiculous. So we don't want it. We don't want it. We're still insisting that we don't want all these garbage laws, all this impunity, all this oppression. We don't want it. It's not for the human right. It's not for the human being. It's all for the animals. This is animal practicing. So enough is enough. Enough is enough. So let me play you the video. And so as usual, this video we will play you right here. So first of all, let me show you some, the house they demolished at Ajao Estate. They demolished Sanwo-Olu, governor of Lagos State. Governor select of Lagos State, because we all know that he doesn't want that gubernatorial election. They just rig it. It's all about rigging, criminal upon criminals. So let's play this one, first one, and we move on. This one is 1 minute 13 seconds. 1 minute 13 seconds. Okay. As you see, this is the house they demolished. Ajao Estate. You can see the woman crying at the background. They have demolished their house. Expensive, this huge house. Otaje ni won. See, very new house. So somebody's house, somebody's living. Eh? See what they are doing to human beings. Is this a democracy we want? Is it what we want in our land? Eh? For any other reason, how could they do this kind of this kind of humility? Humane? Eh? How could they do this kind of humane attitude on somebody? Let me play you again. Let me play you the video again. This is the video right here. You see? Somebody's house. See, they are demolishing it. They are demolishing their house. Eh? Where do they expect them to go and live now? Inside gutter? Eh? See the beautiful building. This is a criminal heart. This is a criminal heart. Ajao Estate. You see? You see with your eyes, people? Oh my God. This is inhumane. This is very cruel. God will judge you. So let me show you another one.
Good luck, Jonathan. It's good to have you here with us.
Okay, this one is Raymond Amokiri.
Straight into it. Can you hear me?
See? Let's hear what you gotta say about.
Thank you for having me. Okay, so let's start with the latest comment, of course, made by President Muhamodu Buhari, of course, describing the combined opposition as a victim of overconfidence. Now, responding to this, PDP's National Publicity Secretary has, of course, come out to say that in itself is dividing, the country. He believes that this is the kind of statement that should not be put out. Now, I want to know, he's also described this as it's causing apprehension, capable of destroying the country's corporate existence as a nation, and even gone further to call on the international community to impose visa bans and other travel restrictions.
My brother,
Muhammadu Buhari,
you're always welcome to the platform.
The 2023 Nigerian elections.
I hear you. Happy new month.
He was gloating over the
happy new month of May
in recent memory. Now, I want to get your reaction to that. And
just share our program, okay, as usual. Thank you.
Also, even said that the president is attempting to bully the judiciary, which is currently handling electoral petitions. I want to know your thoughts about that, and if you believe that this is a statement that should not have been put out in the first place.
Well, the president is a military man, and these are the kinds of things that military men will say when they get excited. We've had a former military president in the person of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, and when he got excited, he made similar comments before the election and after the election. So these are the kinds of things that that he would say. I am more focused on our case right now at the PEPC, the Presidential Election Petition Court. I think that we've got a good case, and I think that if we focus on the case rather than on politics like the statements made by the president, then we're going to go far. This man is about to lose office. He's about to leave office. He's going to be out of office in a month's time. So he should really not be our focus. Our focus should be on reclaiming our mandate that was taken from us during the election, because those elections had issues. Now, on the specifics about the PDP spokesman's messages to General Muhammadu Buhari, look, right now, Buhari is going to say whatever he wants to say. His mind is out of Aso Rock. He's not our issue right now. So even if the international community puts a visa ban on him, it's not something that's going to really help us or going to really help the country. Let's focus right now on our court case. That's what I'm going to say on that.
Focusing on our court case, Reno Mockery, good morning and good to have you. I'm sure you have read the robust response from your principal, Atiku Abubakar, to the preliminary objections opposing the petition that he filed challenging Tinubu as winner of the election. Now, Tinubu, in his preliminary objection, described Atiku as a serial loser. Which Atiku actually agreed to, but then he went further to label Tinubu all sorts, including accusations of perjury over his alleged dual citizenship status and, drug-related records. I'd like your thoughts on that, and also, should your principal lose at the tribunal, do you think he would contest again and, perhaps toe the path of American President Joe Biden, who has just announced his re-election bid at 80. He'll be 86 when he leaves office.
Well, on the specific issue, we're still in the election season, so of course you're going to have bombastic statements. So when you have Bola Tinubu making that kind of statement, it's going to be tit for tat. But if we focus on the issue, I think Bola Tinubu let's talk about the Ghanaian passport, for example. Now, with the Ghanaian passport, I'm not sure that that is an issue that we should put all gunpowder to. Because if you look at the laws of the United States, the United Kingdom, diplomatic passports can be issued to persons who are non-citizens. It's rare, but if you look at the Code of Federal Regulations, if you look at Title 22, I believe it's in Chapter 1, Subchapter 5, the United States can and has given diplomatic passports to non-citizens. Also, the United Kingdom, if you look at, currently, if you go on their site for the Home Office, they have given diplomatic passport to non-citizens. So the Vienna Convention allows it. So it makes a distinction. There are people that can be referred to as nationals, and there are people that are referred to as citizenship. That's why a lot of people don't know that the standard passport is actually stronger than the diplomatic passport. The diplomatic passport comes with a lot of limitations. So a country like Guinea, and I'm not speaking, I don't know the specifics of the situation. They could do all kinds of things. They could have given him that. What we should focus on at the tribunal, in my own opinion, is the fact that Bola Tinubu has links with the drug cartel. And according to our laws, and also according to the laws of the United States, when you forfeit money, it's taken as a conviction. So if I website, and I'm going to quote for it, asset forfeiture, and this is a quote, asset forfeiture is a form of penance for criminals. The word used is criminals. So that is what we should focus on, and we should be able to make our case before the tribunal that this man forfeited drug funds, and in Nigerian law and United States law, those who forfeit are taken to be convicts. Now, that is a stronger case. A lot of people look at these things politically. Maybe because I have a master's of law in law and I schooled in the United Kingdom, I tend to look at it from a legal perspective. Our best point is to focus on this man's known drug past.
All right, Reno. The petitions are before the tribunal, and I understand the point that you are trying to make, focusing on certain allegations that are component of the petition. But of course, that part of what you are saying got a response from the head of the NDLA, General Buhari, who's saying that those who are asking the agency to look into it have been mischievous, because Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was never tried or convicted in America, and therefore it's a dead on arrival kind of request. But I'm saying this just an aside, just for you to bear in mind that even the NDLA has formally reacted on that matter. But I'm interested in what you said earlier.
No, the reaction from the NDA is completely different, and we shouldn't conflict issues, we shouldn't, compare oranges to apples. The NDA was asked, to open an investigation into Bola Tinubu. That's a completely different issue. And, if I were the person, I wouldn't have made such a request, because the matter has been settled in the United States District Court. I happen to have gone to Chicago Chicago, and on this station, you actually played video of myself being in Chicago. That matter is settled. So, yeah, there was a conviction because he paid some money as forfeiture. So you cannot begin to ask the NDLEA to open a case into that. That issue has been settled. So when you have a forfeiture or a conviction, that means that criminal matter has been settled. However, in the laws of Nigeria, if you have been convicted for such an offense, then you are ineligible to be president of Nigeria. Now, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not asking NDLEA to open a case that has already been settled. I hope you understand what I'm talking about now.
Yes, I understand you, but I hope you understand that the final settlement on the matter will come from the Supreme Court, and of course the entire country awaits what will happen. My question, to go back to what you said earlier about your mandate, the mandate of the PDP being stolen, I want some clarity on that. Are you saying by that submission that neither the gentleman who has been declared the president-elect, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, nor Peter Obi, who came third by Inec's declaration, won that election? And you are saying categorically by the petition that your party has submitted that indeed Atiku Abubakar won that election. And secondly, if you don't mind, I would like you to clarify the tweet that you put out clarifying your position on why you were so ferocious in your attack on the obedience, the supporters of Peter Obi, and that you did all that just because you wanted your party to win, and that rather than call them obidiots, as some will derogatorily call them, that you think that they are obigeniuses because of what they have been able to do in less than 1 year. Can you clarify that for us, that now that elections are over, you are now you can now acknowledge the fact that indeed a movement like never before happened, and that put the obedience on the pedestal that people probably ought to applaud them even if their candidate didn't win?
Okay, well, here's the situation. If you look at the last election, and I tend to remove my emotions and hover over things, with an objective eye. If you look at the last elections, in almost 14,000 polling units, they had manual accreditation. Now, this election, the last election, was a technologically driven election. That means that it will be very difficult for you to rig when you follow the rules how it's meant to be. By the Electoral Act, those 14,000 polling units where they had manual accreditation, they ought to have cancelled the elections in those units according to the Electoral Act and then reschedule them. Because when you have a technologically driven elections, you can only rig in areas where technology is not used, and that's in those 14,000 polling units where they had manual accreditation. So it's even in the United Kingdom where I am right now, in Ireland, in the United States, they call it vote early, vote regularly. So you come, you vote early, and then you keep on voting, over voting. So in a situation where you have almost 10%, so we're talking about 8% of the polling units in Nigeria where they did manual accreditation, then the result of that election cannot be credible. So that's what we're talking about. There were 14,000 polling units. You had manual accreditation, and those were the polling units where you had overvoting, where you had rigging. So I'm not saying that the whole election should be cancelled. No. Let's follow the Electoral Act. In those 14,000 polling units where they had overvoting, cancel the elections, follow the Electoral Act, and then have them again. Now, if at the end of the day, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is pronounced the winner, we will accept. If at the end of the day it's Waziri Atiku Abubakar, we will accept. Now, to come to the issue you asked me specifically about Peter Obi, am I saying that Peter Obi did not win the election? Listen, Peter Obi, he did well. He did better than a lot of us expected, Muslim South. Now, coming over to your other issue, with the obedience, what the obedience have done, if you want to be candid, if you have candor, you really have to respect what they've done. Because in less than a year, if you recall, it wasn't up to a year. I believe that he joined Labour Party May last year, and we had the election in February. So this is a period of about 8 months. And in that period of time, this man has been able to galvanize a movement that was able to give him over 6 million votes. Anybody saying that these people are, that they are idiots, obedience, you're not being been very, very wise. If they had joined with the People's Democratic Party, if Peter Obi had not left our party, we would have won the election even with rigging hands down. So these people, they've actually been able to do something that is very, very commendable. In fact, I foresee that in future, in places like Harvard University, in places like Yale, in places like Oxford, people will study what Peter Obi did, because what Peter Obi did, he almost replicated what Emmanuel Macron did with his party. Emmanuel Macron built a new party, which is unheard of in France, and was able to emerge victorious. The reason why Peter Obi was probably not able to do that in Nigeria is because he, in Emmanuel Macron's case, he actually appealed to French nationalism. In Peter Obi's case, he made the mistake of appealing to religious sentiment. If he had not done that, if probably he had maybe appealed to other things that maybe unite us, probably he would have even won the election. But I can tell you, it is not possible that Peter Obi could have won that election. Only two people could have won that election, and I believe that if the votes in those 14,000 polling units where manual accreditation were cancelled, I believe that the PDP stands a very good chance of winning the election.
The president-elect, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will be inaugurated on May 29th, exactly 1 month's time. And if he goes ahead, if he proceeds to retain the presidency, that is, if he wins at the court, do you think that his presidency will have suffered irreparable injury on account of all these allegations, that have been thrown at him left, right, and center? And since he's going to spend the first 4 years, what do you think should be his priorities in uniting the country, given the fact that putting all the votes together, he had barely 1/3 of the total votes that was cast on election day? What do you think should be his priority in uniting the country? Opposition from the PDP, from the Labour Party, from NMPP, from APGA, and those who just simply do not believe in him, but he will be their president. How do you think that he can navigate these difficult waters if he turns out the rightful president according to the court?
Now, what I would say to the People's Democratic Party, the Labour Party, the NNPP, and all of Nigeria, if at the end of the day, Bola Tinubu emerges victorious at the Supreme Court, then I would urge everybody to shift their swords and support him. At the end of the day. Now, I would hope that the Supreme Court will do the right thing and will order re-elections in those 14,000 polling units, and that Bola Tinubu will not be sworn in as president. But if the Supreme Court, in their own wisdom, you got to understand that the Supreme Court is not final because they are right. They are actually right because they are final. So if they, in their own wisdom, say, okay, well, with all that we've seen, Bola Tinubu is the rightfully elected president, I will support him. I will ask everybody to support him. I would never be a part of his government. I would never be a part of his party, but I would support him as the president of Nigeria. Now, having said that, there are issues with Bola Tinubu that cannot be swept under the carpet. Obviously, he's got the drug cartel history. He cannot hide that. If you look at the Spiegel, which is the biggest paper in Germany, if you look at the paper in Austria, if you look at here in the United Kingdom, if you look at in the United States, several papers, several media have talked about his drug history, and that's actually going to affect Nigeria, because if you see what happened in a country like Colombia, if you see what happened in a country like Panama, if you see what even happened in Guinea, so it's going to actually, it's going to be like, it's going to taint his presidency. Now, that having been said, Bola Tinubu on his own is going to be, an improvement economically from Buhari. He's going to be better because he has some economic genius. If you look at what he did in Lagos, he's got some managerial brilliance. He's able to manage men and resources very well. That's what Bola Tinubu has. However, we do know that he does have health challenges. So we hope that those health challenges, if he eventually wins at the Supreme Court, will not hold him back. On another issue, I mean, I don't think he started very well on a good footing. If you look at his transition council, he did say that he wants to start or that he wants to continue where Buhari stopped. And Buhari, over the last 8 years, has not been very, very fair to the Southeast in terms of the composition of the National Security Council,
Buhari
in
is a disaster.
of not his cabinet, because his cabinet, he has no choice. He's got to make ministers from the Southeast states. But in terms of, appointments into his office, the North, especially the Northwest and the Southwest, have had the lion's share. The Southeast has not been treated very, very fairly at all. As a matter of fact, I believe it was on June 23, 2015, that he said at the United States Institute for Peace that those who gave me 5% of the vote cannot be treated like those who gave me 97% of the votes, referring to the Southeast. So with Bola Tinubu's transition council, I mean, I'm not seeing enough Igbo names. They have not seen enough names from the Southeast. And even somebody like Joe Igbokwe, who has been very faithful and loyal to Bola Tinubu, actually even raised the issue. So I don't want him, if he wins at the Supreme Court, to start governing on that account. He has to move away from what Buhari has done, which has been very clannish, very sectional, and take the whole of Nigeria as his constituency. Forget about whether some people did not vote for him or whether some people voted for him, and then rule. Similarly to how President Obasanjo and President Jonathan ruled, governed rather. Make the whole country your constituency. Even if possible, form a unity government. Maybe give one or two token ministerial appointments to other opposition parties, like maybe even the Labour Party. But he should not, on any account, and this is, his council is, I'm just giving my opinion, it's not going to be mandatory on him, but he should not toe the Buhari line of excluding, especially the Southeast.
Thank you so much for being here on the morning show. We do appreciate your time. Good.
Okay.
Dear Nigerians, I greet you all in the spirit of democracy. My name is Chief Ogaku Dominic, President, Civil Society Groups for Good Governance, and I welcome you all to this press briefing. Considering the cacophony that has greeted the Muslim ticket of the All Progressive Congress, APC, President-elect and Vice President-elect, Christians and minority ethnic groups now need to be reassured that Nigeria is a secular state where merit and unity, not religion and tribe, will be the parameters for facilitating national integration, peaceful coexistence, and harmonious relationship that will engender a prosperous Nigeria for all. Therefore, as Nigeria braces up for yet another democratic administration at the nation's center, and the All Progressives Congress, APC, dots the I's and crosses the T's with respect to appointment of federal ministers, the need for ethno-religious balancing and inclusion has become even more critical for socio-economic development. Speaking of the ministerial configuration, President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Vice President-elect Kashim Shettima must be seen to be deliberately institutionalizing equity, fairness, and justice, so as to wean itself from the current baggage of nepotism that characterize federal appointments in the outgoing APC government. It is against this backdrop of call for balancing and inclusivity that concerned Nigerians under the aegis of our coalition, that's the coalition of civil societies, hereby throw their weight behind the appointment of a Southern Borno person as the federal minister in the incoming administration of Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Senator Kashim Shettima. Our support is because for decades, the Southern Senatorial District of Borno has suffered political inequality, injustice, and exclusion in terms of state and national affairs. It is on record that Southern Borno has suffered and continues to suffer national and state marginalization till date. The more politically advantaged central and northern Borno cabal have such a stronghold on the political equation in the state that they continue to hijack all political offices in the state, especially the plum jobs of the state governorship, which has eluded the people of Southern Borno for decades despite their aspiration and contributions. A cursory look at the lineup of former state governors reveal a worrisome trend of exclusion and instituted conspiracy against the Southern Borno people. Let's look at it. The names of past and present governors of Borno State. 1979 to 1983, Mohammed Goni, North. 1983 to 1984, Ashek Jama, Central. 1991 to 1993, Meina Magaji, Lawa, North. Maji, Lawa, North. 1993 to 2003, Mala Kachala, Central. 2003 to 2011, Alimodu Sherif, Central. 2011 to 2019, Kashim Shetima, Central. 2019 till date, Baba Gana Zulu, North. As you can see, only 2 senatorial districts, Central and Northern Borno, have served as governor in the state. Does this list reflect equity, fairness, and justice in a state having 3 senatorial districts, with Southern Borno people being the most populous, educated, and religiously tolerant, with evidence of peaceful coexistence between the Christians and Muslims? Your guess is as good as mine. As if history has not punished the people of Southern Borno enough, the current government in the state has almost relegated Southern Borno to the periphery with lopsided appointments, which are skewed in favor of Central and Northern Borno, as shown below. Current political appointment in Borno State as it stands: Governor, Kanuri; Speaker of Assembly, Kanuri; Chief Judge, Kanuri; Grand Kadi, Kanuri; Chief of Staff, Shua; SSG, Shua; Post VC, Kanuri. And the list continue. I'm going to furnish you with all that. Let me not bore you with it. All the above mentioned appointee and elective offices in Borno State are manned by persons of Kanuri or Shua extraction, all from Central and Northern Borno. However, ours is not an ethnic agitation nor a religious protest, but a moral suasion. We are only appealing to the humanity which binds all of us and calling the good people of Central and Northern Borno, led by Vice President-elect Kashim Shetima, to be their brother's keepers. This time by backing a Southern Borno person for appointment as a federal minister for balancing, inclusion, and participation, which are key criteria for political equity, fairness, and justice. Considering the current political setup in the state, we are particularly calling on the President-elect, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to lead the charge for socio-political and socio-economic integration by appointing a person from Southern Borno as a federal minister, since they have already been schemed out of political equation in Borno State in particular and in Nigeria in general. Just as the current administration in the state schemed Southern Borno out, they were equally not featured in federal ministerial appointments, with the current federal minister of the state for agriculture hailing from Borno Central, instead of using that ministerial appointment to compensate Borno South for their marginalization in the state. Vice President-elect Kashim Shetima is now the political father of all in the state, since he's about to become the vice president of everyone, not only his own people. As civil society, we are appealing to him to leverage on his influence in the party to mend the broken fences and build a bigger, better, and more united Borno State and Nigeria by throwing his weight behind Borno South for federal ministerial appointment to compensate and bring them into the fold as one family. Considering that Southern Borno is predominantly Christian and non-Kanuri, we believe that if Vice President-elect Kashim Shetima heed this moral suasion and facilitate the inclusion of Southern Borno in this federal government, it will send a strong message across the nation and the world that the Muslim ticket is not a prelude to religious intolerance, nor a threat to Christians or other religions, but rather a government founded on equity, fairness, and justice. Thank you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
You know, as you can see, we are persuading. It's an appeal. We are not, it's an appeal. Because we are all Nigerians and we understand what it involves to rule a complex nation, a heterogeneous society like what we have. So what we need to do now is to begin to appeal to ourselves for balance, for equity, for brotherhood, to sustain the peace, the fragile peace. Forget that people are already done with whether Muslim. We are not interested in that. It's not even about religion. This press conference is not based on. We are only using the factors that are available to say that there should be some level of balance. Most states are already applying that, so that it does not look like appointments are skewed. Are you getting me? Even if in your house, if you begin to favor one part of one set of your children and leave the rest, what will happen? There will be no peace. So it's as simple as ABC. Thank you very much. Pushing for Senator Alain Dume, who is a veteran, who has been very committed to the welfare of his people, to become Senate President, is not doable at this point in time. You know the mathematics. We can't have a vice president from that same place, and you expect to have a Senate President come from there already, which means the fairness and the equity and the federal character that we are talking is already defeated ab initio. So that already is out. It's just the politics of the National Assembly that almost everybody is throwing their heart into the ring. So for that, it's welcome. Whatever he gets, Then, why are we looking at ministerial position? Because somehow the minister is the highest office from any state first, before any other appointment, whether it be any agency, whatever, or parastatal or whatever. But ministerial position is first. At least for fairness, every state has to take a ministerial position before you now talk about the regional minister and all that. So we are saying that in fairness, to balance it, the governor right now comes from where? From the north. The vice president comes from where? From the central. So naturally, for a flow and for synergy and for acceptability and for equity, for fairness, the minister, which is another very senior position in the state, should naturally come from the south. This is our position. It's as simple as ABC. I've answered your question. Thank you very much. To become ministers in Southern Borno, they are in quantums. You want me to begin to mention names? No, we are not zeroing it to anybody. We are saying that the person for equity should come from a certain area, just to pacify, just to balance, just for fairness, just for equity. It's as simple as ABC. Thank you very much.
So guys, so in this kind of case, my own point of view is if we allow this kind of organization, APC, Bola Ahmed, whoever, Shetima, to rule the Nigeria, to be the president of Nigeria, many people will go to jail, for sure. That is my own observation, I think many people will go to jail because if they are opposing their ruling, they will lock them up. God knows how many people will go to jail for no committing crime. So you guys think about it. So thank you for watching today. Yeah, tomorrow if you see another breaking news, we will definitely bring it to your hearing. So I say from me, Timo Starboy, have a happy weekend and happy holiday, golden week holiday. So bye from now. Thank you for watching. Bye. I love you all. Thank you.